Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Deekshita and Pallavi. Good evening. Good evening. Yes, so I hope I'm audible to all of you. Yes, thank you. Thank you for confirming, Pallavi. Good evening, Deekshita. Deekshita, by any chance, did you study in RI Mysore? Oh, yes, yes. Pallavi Das, you too studied in RI Mysore. Okay, Anup has also joined. That's great. Yes, Anup, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Good evening. So, we'll start the class because it's already time. We'll wait for others to join meanwhile. Okay, Pallavi is from Niri Shillong. That's great. That's great. Good evening. Good evening, Anup. Yes. So in today's session, we are going to discuss the third topic, that is teaching basic requirements. And under this, Anup, can you please mute yourself?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Thank you so much. You can unmute whenever you have a doubt or a question. Okay, no problem in that. So in today's session, we're going to discuss teachers' role as a facilitator, professionalism. What is professionalism? When we talk about the profession of a teacher, how can one be a professional? What are the basic characteristics and other requirements to be called as a professional? Then we'll also be discussing about the characteristics of an effective teacher and how to create a positive learning environment. There might be some similarity with what we have studied in the previous sessions because all the first three sessions come under the same banner. Okay. So if I talk about it, the first three sessions that we did are completely focusing on the teaching aspect. In the first session, in the first video, we discussed about, just a minute. Yeah, we discussed about uh, teaching objectives. We talked about Bloom's taxonomy in detail and its application in writing lesson learning objectives. We also discussed about teaching nature and levels. And today will be the last session in the on the concept of teaching, that is basic requirements. Here we'll be discussing teachers' role, professionalism, characteristics, and how to create a positive learning environment. In the next session, we'll be moving on to the learner. We'll talk about learner characteristics, that is, principles of development and growth. We'll dive deeper into the characteristics and challenges of adolescence, the physical, cognitive, and a lot of other things. Then other in a learner characters series second, we'll talk about the cognitive theories, which are very important. You might have heard about this name Piaget, Vygotsky, right? Possible. All these theories will be discussed. And then we'll also talk about individual differences. So in this series, we'll be covering the lessons. So today will be the last session on teaching. And today we'll be discussing about the basic requirements of teaching. So as usual, we request you all to join our YouTube channel, Tej Academy, and subscribe our YouTube channel because in our YouTube channel, we'll be regularly updating these free classes and also we'll be giving you other information and important updates that are linked to not only EMRS, but a lot of other examinations that are going around. Also, you can download the Tej Academy app from Play Store, where we are providing you with the notes of classes that we are taking. We are providing you with the mock tests, and also PYQs are present there. For easy access to mock tests, PYQs, and class notes, you can download the Tej Academy app from YouTube, and you can access them. Coming to part one, that is the teaching teachers evolving role. We all know that, right? It has turned from sage to guide. Earlier, they used to say that teacher is a sage. Teacher is the one who imparts knowledge, who gives knowledge. But then it has now turned more from sage to a guide. NCF 2005 and even the previous documents talked about teachers' active role in classroom, where teachers should provide opportunities for students to build their knowledge, to construct their knowledge. The concept of constructivism has come. So, if I'll read there, as we move from memory level to reflective level, as we were discussing in the previous classes, the teacher's role must also change. So, the traditional view of teacher as a sage on the stage, the primary source of all knowledge, is no longer effective. So, remember that if a question comes asking you about the traditional view of a teacher, like the traditional view of a teacher was sage on a stage. Now, this might be one of the important thing for you to note that it is. Yeah. Earlier understanding of teacher was a sage on a stage, but it has now changed. It has changed from sage on stage to guide by your side. So the modern pedagogy, especially constructivism, which has been in detail talked or discussed in our NEP 2020, positions the teacher as a facilitator of learning, or as I said, guide on the side. So for the concept of facilitator is very important. You might have also come across a term called scaffolding. Scaffolding is nothing but providing important support to the learners. Moving on to the next one, who is a facilitator or what is a facilitator? So remember, a facilitator does not just give answers to the students in classroom. You, as a teacher, your role is not just to give answers to students in the classroom. You have to create the learning environment for the students where students can discover answers from themselves. This is where the concept of activity is coming, where students are active participants and teacher is just a facilitator. Wherever the students need help, teacher will scaffold them, provide them with that help. The major role of teacher is to create an environment. And there are n number of ways in which you can create this environment for the students. If we'll go back to the document of National Curriculum Framework for Teacher Education 2009, there also they have talked in detail about how the role of a teacher has changed. And as the program of teacher education should also fall in line with the raising, with the upcoming demands of the teaching profession. So here the focus has shifted from teaching to learning. You no longer are the sole person who will come here and teach the students. It's more about the whole learning process that happens inside the classroom. So let us now just quickly look at the differences between the traditional teacher and the modern facilitator. This was the sage and this is the guide. So when we look at the knowledge part, it was believed that a traditional teacher dispenses knowledge, but the modern teacher, as per our NCF 2005, our NEP 2020, and NCFSC 2023, the role of a teacher is to help students construct their own knowledge. How will a teacher help students construct their own knowledge? By providing them with experiences in the classroom. These experiences can be provided in different ways, as I earlier discussed. Then, talking about a classroom, in the traditional teacher-centered classroom, the classroom was more focused on teacher-centered. The classroom is usually quiet and a lot of order is maintained in the class. If you remember yesterday's class, where we were talking about how teachers should be in the class, right? We were talking about the remember aspect, and we were saying that it was completely teacher-centered, lowest level, and we moved to the highest one. But when we come to the modern facilitator, it is more of a learner centered. The class is interactive and collaborative. It is always said that a classroom should make some amount of noise. If a classroom is completely quiet, they say that no learning is taking place in the classroom. So, as you are already teachers or you're going to be teachers, you should remember that some noise should happen in classroom. Someone might ask, what is this noise that is coming from the classroom? It is nothing but a discussion that is happening in the classroom among students, between the student and teacher. And these interactions can only happen if the classroom is learner centered. interactive, and collaborative. Where students are collaborating with each other, where teacher student is collaborating. And coming to questions, the next one, questions. Here, the teacher asks questions to check and recall if everything has been understood or not. But in a modern facilitator, what he does or she does, they ask probing questions. They ask, okay, if you're saying this, why this? What would happen? Ask open-ended questions to stimulate learning. So this is what a modern facilitator is expected to do. And what is the role of the teacher in classroom? Our traditional teacher was expected to provide answers. But here, the teacher will motivate the students, push the students to search for answers by themselves by providing resources, guidance, and support. And when we talk about assessment, a traditional teacher tests what students remember, right? The tests were completely focused on recalling whatever has been taught or trying to remember, mug up whatever was given in the textbook and the notes that were given by the teacher. But a modern facilitator assesses how students apply what has been learned. Okay, please follow this. A modern teacher who is also known as a facilitator assesses how students apply what they have learned. So the questions of justify, the questions of analyze. If you can remember the Bloom's taxonomy, the higher order thinking, apply, analyze, evaluate, create, right? Even you leave apply, analyze, evaluate, create. Those kind of questions are asked. You can see the last one, that is create knowledge. So this is the difference between a traditional instructor, a sage on stage, from a modern facilitator, that is guide by side. Coming to the next topic, that is professionalism in teaching. So we all know that teaching is not just a job, it is a profession. So I don't know, you all might have had a class in your B.Ed where you might have had this discussion on job versus profession. Can anyone give me your idea regarding what do you mean by a job and what do you mean by profession, those who are present here? Please remember, nothing is right, nothing is wrong. We are just having a discussion. What is your understanding by a job and a profession? You can also type it in the chat box. Yes, I'm asking about difference between a job and a profession. Why do we call some professions as professions while some as just job? So if we, yeah, there is something in the chat box. I'm sorry. So Pallavi Das says job is what we do to earn money, but profession is what we love to do. Okay. Thank you, Pallavi. Others? So Pallavi is stating that job is what we do to earn money, but profession is what we actually love to do. Yes. What about others? So yes, Pallavi, you are correct. Correct. So a job is a role or a task you perform, most probably to for payment, as Pallavi has very clearly put here, to earn money. While for to be a professional or to be in a profession, you require specified. It is a specified occupation, and it requires extensive training, specialized skills, and knowledge. And usually, sometimes it also includes having a license, or a particular qualification, a degree attached to it. So this is the main difference between a profession and a job. Anyone can go and be a call center executive where you can just talk to people. I know that there are some skills required there also, but then when we talk about professions, let it be teaching, let it be medicine, there are specific set of skills that are required, which are very important. So teaching is not just a job, it's a profession. Why we say teaching is a profession? Because there are lots of skills that are involved in the profession of teaching. So what is professionalism? Professionalism is a set of standards, conduct, and ethics that govern our practice. And it is about how we carry ourselves and our commitment to our students and our craft. So what are the key components of teacher professionalism? There are 5 key components that come under teacher professionalism. The first one is accountability and responsibility. The second one is ethical conduct. The third one is subject mastery. Fourth one is lifelong learning. And the last one is collaboration. So when we look in detail about all these 5 areas, let us look into the first one, that is accountability and responsibility. You all know that a teacher is accountable for students' learning. When you are a teacher in the classroom, it becomes your major responsibility. So your own actions, and you have to adhere to the school policies that have been set. So when we talk about accountability and responsibility, there are multiple things that come in. That is being punctual, being prepared for class, and completing your duties. Not only the duties that are related to classroom teaching, but other duties and responsibilities that come as a part of your whole teaching learning process or your role as a teacher. When we talk about ethical conduct, upholding a model code, okay, upholding a moral code. This by this we can mean being fair, impartial, and honest with all students. It's very important to maintain confidentiality and acting with integrity. When we talk about this maintaining confidentiality, there's a lot of questions that come in the teacher recruitment examinations where they ask about teacher discussing something with the parents about the other students or something like that. And it's very important for you to maintain confidentiality of student records, right? In a PTA meeting, also, you're not supposed to discuss one student's academic or other achievements with other parents. It's not necessary. And it's very important for a teacher to be impartial. Knowingly or unknowingly, teachers always have some favorite students. As you all are teachers already, or some of you might be preparing to become a teacher, or you might have already done your internship. uh, Knowing or unknowingly, you might like some students. You're not trying to be their partial or something, but then you have to be very careful and draw a very thin line because other students might feel that the teacher is being biased. Okay, so it's very important. So you have to hold the ethical conduct. There are other things also that come in. For example, you are not supposed to beat students, right? Corporal punishment is something that is punishable. It's an offense. Then when we come to subject and pedagogical mastery, as we all know, as a professional teacher, you have to have deep understanding of what you teach. That is a subject. And with subject, it is very important about on how you teach. So what you teach is subject and how you teach it is pedagogy. So it's very important for you as a professional to have subject and pedagogical mastery together. And one more stark thing about being in a profession is there is always upward mobility. You never remain stagnant in a professional profession. There is always scope to grow. So lifelong learning comes there. So as a teacher, one should be committed to continuous professional development programs, the CPDs. Does anyone know how many hours of CPDs is expected for a teacher to undergo as per NEP 2020? Yes, Anup, exactly. 50 hours. So NEP 2020 recommends teachers to undergo 50 hours of CPD programs. And if you'll go to CBSE website or if you'll just search online, a list of different subjects are given which a teacher can undergo for CPD. So why do you have to undergo CPD? This is for actively seeking to update your skills, teaching And the whole teaching learning process is a dynamic process. If you look back into what we have been discussing, we have moved from behavioristic to constructivist. From constructivist, we don't know what might come ahead. We have already started moving into a lot of other things, right? From teacher centered, the class moved on to student centered, and with the advancement of AI, so many tools, so many what to say, resources are available with teachers, which can make the teaching learning process more interactive, more meaningful. So it's very important for a teacher to continuously update their skills, learn new teaching methods, and stay current in your field of teaching, in your subject, as well as in the pedagogy. So it's very important for a teacher to be a lifelong learner and should have a commitment to continuous professional development and also self-directed development. Should not only depend on CPD programs, should also personally, have a interest in learning new things. Then comes collaboration. So collaboration talks about working effectively with colleagues, parents, and the wider community to support students' learning. As a teacher, you're not only dealing with your students in the classroom, but you're also dealing with their parents. You're dealing with the locality where your school exists, right? There is something called as, can anyone help me with this thing? The school and the community and the teachers, we all make a part, right? Not able to recall the term. It's for the school development. Okay, no problem. If I'm able to recall, or if you can recall, you can just put it in the chat box. So it's very important that you collaborate with others, the community members, right, the parents, and the students. To
Student with family center.
sorry, Anup, can you please repeat it?
Student with the center. In this,
Can you please repeat it? I'm sorry, Anup.
a student will teacher will be facilitator. A student should be in facilitator. Student will be centered.
No, no, I understand. Anup. What I'm asking is there's a specific term where a group is formed, right? A committee is formed that includes the school, the administrators, the local community members, and also the parents. There's a specific word for that group, which looks into the school's different aspects. Let it be,
Like
funding or something.
PTC, parent teacher meeting.
No, no, that is just a meeting actually where the teacher discusses about students. There's a separate term for it. No problem, Anup. Wait, I'll just try to find it out. I don't know why I'm not able to remember. Yeah, it's called SMC, School Management Committee. I'm really sorry. Okay. It's also in some places called STMC, that is School Management Committee or School Development and Management Committee. So this involves various, functionaries, and it has different purposes. We'll discuss about that also when we'll look into the other topics. Thank you, Anup. Thank you. So this was all about key components of teacher professionalism. Let us move on to the next one. That is characteristics of an effective teacher. So when you look at the characteristics of an effective teacher, uh, a very important question that we need to ask is what makes a teacher truly effective, right? Is it their subject? Is it their intellectual thing? Or is it how they interact with the students? Or is it how well they manage the classroom, right? So it is a blend of personal qualities, instructional skills, and classroom management. The blend of all these three makes a teacher effective in classroom. So let us look into detail about what are these ways. Personal qualities, instructional qualities, and classroom management. The mind, the heart, the mind, and the skill. Looking at the heart, that is first one, personal qualities. A teacher should have enthusiasm and passion. We were discussing about the same thing in the previous class also. You cannot ignite a fire if you're not burning within yourself. That is, If you're not showing interest from your side, the students will be least interested to learn. I always take the example of the movie Tare Zameen Par and talk about how Amir Khan enters into his first class and just uh, pull students with him and makes the classroom much more engaging. But it's more hypothetical. That's more of a movie perspective. But then there are a lot of things. I remember my physics teacher from 11th and 12th, Ramanamurthy sir. He's a KV teacher. So he used to sometimes enter the class in a very dramatic manner. He'll just be standing at the door and looking at us, and then he'll just jump into the classroom. And I'm not lying. He used to do certain things. And this was the most initial thing that used to put our attention completely towards the teacher, and then he used to go with the content. And also while discussing examples, he used to do it in very creative ways. So the more enthusiasm you have, the more passion you have, the more students are going to catch it and they are going to follow you. So it's very important as a teacher to have this fire inside you. So passion for the subject and for teaching is very important. And it is something, if you have this passion for subject and teaching, you yourself will involve yourself in professional development at the personal level and also at a professional level. And you look into different various things in which you can teach a particular topic better every single time you teach it. The second thing is empathy and warmth. So empathy is something that is very important, and there are a lot of questions that come on empathy. There are questions that talk about a student is late to school, and they give a particular reason, and then they ask what a teacher should do. A teacher should send the student away, or inform the administrator, or ask the student why the student was late. So such questions come. So to understand a student, you should also be able to empathize with the student. Okay, so the ability to understand and connect with students' feelings and perspectives. A warm, approachable demeanor builds trust. And as a teacher, it's very important for you to have students' trust in the classroom. If you do not have students' trust in the classroom, they will never be interested to listen to you. The third one is patience and fairness. Treating all students equitably. See, it's written equitably, not equally. Equitably means based on their needs and having the patience to handle diverse learning paces and behaviors. This is very important. So this was about the personal qualities. Let us look into the instructional qualities. The first and foremost thing here is clarity and communication. What is this clarity and communication? The ability to explain complex concepts in simple and understandable terms. It's of no use if you have a very strong vocabulary and you can speak like Shashi Tharoor, but your students are not able to understand you, right? So able to explain the most complex things in the most simple way is what makes a teacher much more effective. So it's about the ability to explain complex concepts in simple and understandable terms. And to be able to explain complex prop concepts in simple and understand terms, you should have a strong subject knowledge. When you have a strong subject knowledge, it will be very easy for you to do that. A deep and flexible understanding of the content. It is very important for a teacher to have a strong subject knowledge because if you are weak in your subject, however good you might be in pedagogy, it's of no help, and vice versa. The third thing is flexibility and adaptability. So, being able to adjust a lesson plan on the fly when students are not understanding or when a teachable moment arises. It's very important to understand that anything can happen in a class. Most of the times, as most of you might already be working in some of the other schools or might have had experience with teaching, might know that there are so many programs that happen year around in school. And sometimes a class that was supposed to be of 35 minutes or 40 minutes will become only of 20 minutes or even 15 minutes. So, how are you going to make use of those 15 or 20 minutes and still be able to cover the major aspects of the class that you planned is very important. So our teacher should be flexible and adapt to the needs of the classroom. It's not like I have prepared a lesson plan and I have included these many activities and I'm going to do these things. I'm going to do these things and I'm not going to do anything else. No, that is not how things work. So for those who have had good teaching experience, no, that sometimes you do not get the time that you want, specifically in government schools. Let it be KV, let it be Navodaya, let it be any other government school or even state government schools. The amount of programs that are in, anyone here who has experience in teaching in on a contractual basis also in KV or Navodaya here, from the ones who are listening, or any other school, even EMRS. Okay, so for those who have at least done internship in such schools, you know that so many programs are happening, and there is a lot of pressure on schools also, the administrators also, to complete these projects and programs. And making while you make students participate in these programs, your classroom time is robbed away. So you have to be flexible, and you should be adaptable to the needs. And when such situation arises, you should be able to modify a lesson plan to make best use of the time that you have in the class. The next one is classroom management. That is the skill part. First thing is high expectations. As a teacher, you should always have high expectations from students. You should believe that all students can learn and succeed, and communicating this belief to them. A teacher should be highly motivating, and the student should understand that this teacher is not going to let you down, right? Even the teacher will always push you to grow and try harder. So having high expectations from your students, but then you should be very careful. You should not be disappointed. The meaning of having high expectations is to motivate and push the students beyond their limits. Then the teacher should be orderly and engaging. So an effective teacher manages a classroom not through fear, but by creating engaging and well-placed lessons that keep students focused. Okay. So it makes no sense if the students are scared of you. The more students are scared of you, the less they will listen to you, and the more they will be afraid. I don't know if you have experienced this when you were students in your school days. The more scary the teacher, the less you will make an eye contact with them. Have you experienced this in your school days? The only thing in our head will be like, if we'll make eye contact, the teacher might ask us a question. And that should not be how that is not how a class should be, or that is not how your class should be. Yes, Pallavi is able to recall. So when we talk about a class, the class should be structured in such a way that all the students have complete freedom to ask questions. Again, it's very important that I don't know. I have to bring in the dialogue of Spider-Man, where Uncle Peter says Spider-Man that with great power comes great responsibility. To students also, it should be made clear for them that the freedom that is being given them comes with a responsibility. So when a class is happening, the students should completely engage and use that freedom to their best advantage by participating in the classroom. Then a strong rapport. It's very important for a teacher to build a strong rapport with students. So building positive teacher-student relationship is the foundation of a good classroom management. It's very important for you as a teacher to have strong relationship with the students inside the classroom and outside the classroom also. I don't know how many of you have come across an Instagram page. Somewhere in a remote northeast place, a person is running a school, or he's just teaching in a school, and he's encouraging people to come forward, take a break, and teach the students. And if you see his reels, they're very nice. The way he teaches the students, the way he engages with students inside the classroom and outside the classroom, such a strong rapport is built. Similarly, one more video was recently seen from a Kerala school where a young boy, a teacher, the video was very clearly showing how sad the students were when the teacher was about to leave the school. So it's very important for a teacher to bring strong rapport. And remember, to build a strong rapport, it's not about just being their friends and sharing your things with them, or knowing their things. It's also about them having lots of respect for you in the way you teach, in the way you carry yourself, and the way you have the subject mastery, right? That is what is the base of setting a good rapport. And a teacher should be a good listener, which is very important. Any doubts still here? Okay, I'll thank you, Palak. I'll move on to the next one. Now, how to create this positive learning environment? I talked a lot about positive learning environment, but how to create this in the classroom? Positive learning environment is the single most important factor teacher can control. As a teacher, you have complete power over how you control your classroom. But what you should do, you should make it a space where students feel safe, students feel respected and motivated. So there are different aspects that come in here when we are talking about the classroom. The first one is physical environment. The physical environment should be organized and clean. It's very important. In the last class also, I was talking about the same thing. The classroom should be well lit. It should be clean because when the classroom is dirty, there are a lot of distractions present in the classroom. And the classroom's space should be organized to reduce maximum distractions. And also, the classroom should be resourceful. And if you'll see, a lot of states have taken some very good works. For example, activity-based learning was something that was actively taken by Tamil Nadu, and Odisha also did something similar. And then Karnataka took up Nalikali. And if you'll go and see the state government classrooms, they are completely packed with resources, and it's a very beautiful classroom. So it is expected that a classroom contains lots of learning resources. So there you can display students' work, you can display relevant charts of different concepts that are they're going to learn throughout the year, then posters to make the room a learning tool. The classroom should not be just for walls and some benches and a board. The classroom should be a learning tool for students. With every turn around, the student is learning something new. Then the psychological environment, which again was discussed previously. So a psychological safety is number one priority for us as teachers in the classroom. Students must be safe, must feel safe to ask questions, must feel safe to make mistakes, and take intellectual risks without fear and of embarrassment or ridicule. I still remember that in sixth standard, my school had changed and I had shifted from Hyderabad to Mysore. And then in the first maths class, I had asked a doubt. And for asking a doubt, I had been beaten up. And since that point, I stopped asking doubts in the teacher's class. And that subject has been become a dent for me forever. So as a teacher, you should never do that. We always tell our trainee teachers to be very careful regarding how you address students, how you respond to them. So it's very important to provide an environment where the student feels safe to ask questions and make mistakes. Very important, make mistakes. Should always encourage students to make mistakes because when they make mistake, they know that how this thing they should not do again. Once they make a mistake, they know how a mistake is made and they'll not repeat it again. And students should be motivated to take intellectual risks without fear of embarrassment or ridicule. Then the second one is mutual respect. The teacher models respect, and this becomes the norm of how students treat each other. The way you treat your students, the way students will treat each other. You might have also seen this. There are some teachers who do name calling, right? They keep nicknames to students, and these nicknames stick with students forever. And sometimes it might be a very big problem for students. And this is something that has also been observed and very well documented and researched also. So very important, the way you teach students and the way you respect them, the same thing is going to carry forward from the students also. Then always set clear expectations. What do we mean by clear expectations? We are talking about students should know the rules, the routines, and the procedures of how to do things. So with this, it creates a predictable environment where students know what is the next step, how to go next. And the student also knows the environment of fairness is created because the students know that this is how things go. Then positive reinforcement, very important and highly lacking in the current generation of teachers. They do not know how to give positive reinforcement. So genuinely praising students' effort and progress. It's not just about praising the correct answers. It's about also praising their efforts and progress. And again, when we talk about reinforcement, a lot of things come there. There is verbal, there is other things. A lot of things are there. Verbal, non-verbal, other things. And building rapport. It's very important to bring a strong rapport with students. It's not just that a teacher should expect a student to wish them. It also should be vice versa. A teacher should wish the students. For example, you are greeting your students at the door, or you're trying to show interest in what they're doing outside the classroom also, and using humor appropriately whenever required, wherever required, will help you as a teacher to bring strong rapport with your student. So this was about creating a positive learning environment. With this, we complete the theoretical part of this session. Let us move on to questions now. Before we move on to questions, if anyone has any doubt, they can ask me here. Any doubts? Yes. Okay. So, yeah. Okay. Thank you, Pallavi, for responding. We'll move on to the questions now. So the first question is, in a constructive classroom, in a constructive framework, the primary role of teacher is to provide clear, accurate explanation for all core concepts, act as a facilitator guiding students, design and implement a standardized assessment for all students, maintain a teacher-centered classroom focused on direct instruction. So Pallavi says option C. What about others? Please read the question carefully. Anup says option D. Pallavi has changed her option to option B. You're always free to change your answer. No, no problem. And I encourage you all to please unmute and speak in this class. That will be highly motivating for me too. Surikha says option A. So as we were talking about constructivism and a constructive framework, the word that sticks with constructivism is facilitator. So a teacher should be a facilitator, and the major role of teacher is to guide students. So the correct answer for this question is option B. That is act as a facilitator and guide students. If you have any doubts, please ask me. Option D completely goes wrong because we are no more talking about a teacher-centered classroom. Constructivism does not talk about a teacher-centered classroom, and we do not focus on direct instruction. And design and implement a standardized assessment. We're not talking about assessment, we're talking about teaching here. Any doubt here for this question? Okay, thank you. We'll move on to the next one. In a diverse classroom, a teacher should focus on the average student, create uniform learning goals for everyone, use differentiated instruction, separate students based on their abilities. This was a question asked in one of the seated examinations. Pallavi Das says option D. Pallavi, read the question again and read the options again. I request all of you to read the question. I'll read it for all of you again. In a diverse classroom, a teacher should focus on the average student, create uniform learning goals for everyone, use differentiated instruction, separate students based on their abilities. And as most of you have corrected yourselves, the correct answer is option C. We are talking about a diverse classroom. When we say diverse classroom, we are talking about students coming from different backgrounds, and there are a lot of difference. We already talked in the previous class that every student is unique, and we use the term individual difference. And for these unique individuals, you need to also provide them with differentiated instructions so that you'll be able to cater to students of different learning styles. If you'll talk about learning styles, there is auditory, there is visual, there is kinesthetic. And when you go into detail, there are a lot more. So the correct answer here is option C, use differentiated instruction. Any doubt here? Any doubt here? Okay. Please ask me if you have any doubt or if you want to ask. Okay. So Pallavi is asking, why not option B? Create uniform learning goals for everyone. Pallavi, the question talks about a diverse classroom. If you're creating a uniform learning goal for a diverse classroom, you will not be able to address all the students. Does it? Yes, yes. So please, it's very important. Most of the times, what we do is we know the answer, but we quickly go through the answer. We all of us have this habit of very quickly rushing through the question. So we always advise for the previous examinations also. What we have advised students is to please read the question at least 2 to 3 times. Try to understand the question and then very carefully read the options. If possible, also read the options 2 to 3 times and try to see what exactly is being asked. In this question, it's very clearly being asked about a diverse classroom. And a uniform instruction learning goals for a diverse classroom would be a disaster, right? So, using differentiated instructions would be the most appropriate answer here for this question. So it's great. That is why these classes are being done and these sessions are being held where we're able to look into these questions, dive into the details of it, and try to understand what is the better thing so that in the examination you don't repeat the mistake. Coming to the next question, I'm sorry, there is a typing error here. The question should come down. So I'll read the question for you. Which of the following is not a characteristic of professional teacher? So this should be option one technically. Being accountable for students' learning, having an unbiased attitude towards certain students, collaborating with colleagues, upholding ethical standards. So please consider this as option one from here. This is option one. So this is option B, C, and D. Okay, so Pallavi has gone with the option D. What about others? Anup has also gone with option D. Others, read the question. Surekha says option B. Request you all to read the question very carefully. Okay, Surekha has changed the answer. Read the question. The question is asking not. Which of the following is not? Not is in caps also. Yes. So here if you see, the option B is talking about certain students, right? Whereas a teacher is expected to have an unbiased attitude towards all the students. Why not only certain? Yes. So option B is the correct one here. So the answer is hidden in the options itself, but you have to be very clear. So you have to be very, what to say, careful here and look at the words very carefully. So they're asking not a characteristic of a professional teacher. That is having an unbiased attitude towards certain students. You should have an unbiased attitude towards all the students. Moving on to the next one. I'm sorry for the typing error here also. A teacher, after preparing a question paper, checks whether the question tests the specific learning objectives. He is concerned primarily about the question papers, validity, content coverage, typology of questions, reliability. Yes. A teacher, after preparing a question paper, checks whether the question tests specific learning objectives. The question that the teacher has prepared, does it test the learning specific testing objectives? He is primarily He is concerned primarily about the question papers. The correct answer here is not content coverage but validity. The teacher is trying to check how valid is this test in achieving the objectives. Okay, so content coverage is not related to objectives. The teacher is trying to test whether the questions in the examination cover specific learning objectives, not the content. If the teacher is checking whether the questions test the content that has to be discussed in the examination or not, then it comes to content coverage. The teacher is testing the objectives. That is how valid this test is in covering all the objectives that are set by the teacher. The correct answer here is validity. Moving on to the next one. Which of the following actions demonstrate a lack of teacher professionalism? Which of the following actions demonstrate a lack of teacher professionalism? Admitting to the class that you made a mistake in calculation, discussing a student's academic issues with other parents, refusing to accept expensive gifts from students' parents, collaborating with a colleague to improve a challenging lesson plan. So Kalpana has gone with option B for this question. What about others? In this question also, they are asking which of the following actions demonstrate a lack of teacher professionalism. If you can see, lack is given in italics. Even Pallavi says it's B. What about others? So Anup says it's D. So the correct answer for this question is actually option B, as correctly said. If we'll go back to the slides when we were discussing about teacher professionalism, I was also talking about that teachers should not share a student's personal issues or academic issues with other parents. If you can read very clearly see the option here, they are talking about other parents, which is not necessary. Whereas collaborating with colleagues to improve a challenging lesson is very much necessary. So in professionalism, we were also talking about collaboration. So option D does not lack, whereas option B clearly is a wrong answer here. Going on to the next question. Which of the following is the most significant hallmark of an effective teacher? Deep and comprehensive mastery of subject matter, a friendly personality and a good sense of humor, the ability to motivate, build rapport, and facilitate learning, excellent fluency in communication and use of advanced technology. Read the question again. Which of the following is the most significant hallmark of an effective teacher? Anup says it's option C. Pallavi also says it's option C. What about others? Kalpana says it's option C, and Sureka also says it's option C. You all are correct. The most significant hallmark of an effective teacher is the ability to motivate, build rapport, and facilitate learning. So, with this, we'll end today's class. Thank you, all of you. If you have any doubts, please reach out to us on the below given number. You can WhatsApp us, and also you can join us at YouTube and also at our Tej Academy app. And if you have any specific topics that you want us to address, you can please let us know personally, and we'll prepare classes for that specifically. Thank you, all of you. Thank you.
Going down.